At RxBar, they believe in simple nutrition without the BS. That's why they said no to artificial ingredients and yes to deliver intentional, transparent nutrition. Try their original 12-gram protein bar, the nut butter and oat bar, or minis. RxBar, the proud sponsor of No BS. Use code RxBar on rxbar.com for 25% off. Subject to full terms and conditions and to change. Valid until September 30, 2025, and may not be combined with other offers. See rxbar.com for full details and limitations.
With a $5 meal deal with new McValue. You pick a McDouble or a McChicken, then get a small fry, a small drink, and a 4-piece McNuggets. That's a lot of McDonald's for not a lot of money.
Prices and participation may vary. McDouble meal $6 in some markets for a limited time only.
You can support this podcast at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, a successful magazine editor reunites with her troubled sister to solve the murder of a man who had been husband to them both. We'll talk about The Better Sister from Prime. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and love of my life, Kevin Flynn. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Also with us is private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of The Final Curtain, Laura Bricker. Hi, Laura.
Hey, Rebecca.
And finally, our captain of all things cynical, author of the City Trilogy, host of Rip Current, More Like Ancient Faelians, Strange Arrivals, and our Patreon Deep Dive Book Club podcast host, Toby Ball. Hi, Toby.
I just wanted to eat gazpacho with you, Rebecca.
Yeah. I don't blame you. So, Kevin, this is Monday's program.
It is, yeah.
What's coming up on Thursday's show?
On Thursday, we're going to talk about the podcast Death County, PA from Wondery and Penn Live.
Is there something else you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody that we are going to be at the True Crime Podcast Festival in Boston, July 18th to the 20th. Please come and meet us. Otherwise, we'll just be sitting there by ourselves.
Be sad.
Yeah, I ordered stickers.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
People have stickers, so perfect.
Do we have any signage? People know who we are?
Like pasties or like stickers?
You can use them however you want.
You mean like things like you'd put on your nipples?
Yeah, like Crime Writers on pasties.
That's a good marketing tool, Laura.
Yeah.
A lot of people wear those in public.
With little tassels on them.
Yeah, super. See if you can make them go clockwise, counterclockwise.
Yeah.
No, they aren't pasties, but whatever you do as an off-label use, we can't stop you. Fortunately, our logo is square, so we don't have to have like some funky die-cut markup. If you want more information or sign up, go to truecrimepodcastfestival.com and use code CWO for 20% off.
Wow. Well, Kevin, I kind of want to talk about the thing we're talking about. Can we get right into it?
Well, I would love to do that.
All right. No chit-chat today. Leading off.
I need an ambulance. My husband is covered in blood and he's not responding.
What's the address?
429 Lower Woodside.
Okay, we're sending someone right away. Are you alone in the house?
I don't know.
Crusading magazine publisher Chloe Taylor discovers her husband Adam murdered on the floor of their Hamptons beach house. As suspicion turns to their teenage son Ethan, Chloe is reunited with her troubled sister Nicky, who has spent years battling addiction.
People know where Ethan came from. Yeah. Adam's ex. We just never went into specifics. Just really wanted to have a fresh start. Not all of us had that luxury.
But their family secret is revealed. Before Chloe married Adam, Nicky was Adam's wife and Ethan is her biological son. Is the murder related to Chloe's online stalker, Adam's legal work with a shadowy syndicate, or something more personal?
I need you to check something out for me before this girl gets herself killed.
Based on the best-selling book, Jessica Beil and Elizabeth Banks team up in The Better Sister from Prime. The estranged siblings attempt to navigate their family drama and personal demons to solve the case and exonerate the child they both consider their own. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about plot points from The Better Sister. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to our estimated time code in our show notes for our thumbs up or thumbs down reviews. Now, Kevin?
Yeah.
I promise you
Okay.
that unlike Chloe,
Yes.
if I find you murdered on our living room floor, I actually will at least pretend to be sad about it.
You mean not like
Like go to
like
work the next
immediately
day.
or like eventually? Will you wait till episode 5 to seem sad about it, or no? You'll do it immediately.
I'll that next day. I'll be like, I got to go to work.
That's the thing. It's like one of my first. We got to get back to the city because first thing I need to get into the office to do a few things. Yeah, I didn't quite buy that people were sad or mourning the death of Adam. They just didn't seem too shocked, or not like they were expecting it to come, but it was like they're kind of like, wow, that was kind of nuts, right? That was about it.
Can you believe he's dead?
You believe he's dead? Well, do you need to go take a nap? Do you want to go sit by the pool? It was just a little out of place tonally, and there were just kind of like certain interactions between Chloe and Nicky. They're kind of supposed to be funny. You know, like they're falling back into their old like Thelma and Louise banter, but it didn't quite work for me. I don't know. There was something about that just seemed off.
Yeah. So, Laura, this is the second show, I believe, that we've reviewed with Jessica Biel in it, right?
Yeah. So we reviewed Jessica Biel in Candy.
And Limetown.
Limetown. I forget Limetown. Yeah.
Okay, Limetown. And she does a good job being the uptight, buttoned up, repressed, seemingly, quote, better sister here, as we're, supposed to be inclined to believe. But I found, despite that this character was just flat.
How long have you two been married? 10 years is full. Practically newlyweds. Well, we've known each other since we were kids, so high school sweethearts. Kind of, but it was a little complicated early on.
I didn't find myself like wanting to root for her outcome or invested in her cause. This was like reading like a boring book that I had been assigned for a project with a character that I just didn't really care about, but that I needed to finish so I could get my book report done.
So just change the word book and book report and put podcast in there, and you just described your life.
My life, because I
you
was
were
like,
assigned this.
Well, I was assigned this, but I was like, Jessica Biel, you could be awesome. Mm-hmm. This character could be really interesting. This plot could be interesting. Instead, it's just kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to drive along here and my hair is like perfectly straight now. And I'm going back in. Oh, now I'm going to, the most suspenseful part of the whole darn thing with her is when she thinks someone's outside and she goes and gets the gun out of the bottom of like the laundry basket. And she's like, is that you? Is that you? And then there's like nobody there. And I'm like, well, that was boring. Like I was hoping for at least something. So her character just, I felt like they have somebody that they could have used in a capacity, but I don't think that's necessarily her fault. I think that's the fault of the writing of how they adapted this from a book into a series.
So Toby, you made a note about what kind of book this would be if it were a book, which it is. But what kind of book did you compare this series to?
It just seemed like one of those airport paperbacks that you pick up when you've got a long flight and you just want to read something mindless and maybe fall asleep. Like this seems to be that kind of thing. I don't know anything about the book. The screenplay for this seems like it was written by somebody who'd never actually met another person before, because nobody acts the way actual people do in these situations. They're sort of trauma proof. Like nothing that happens to them will phase them for more than a couple of seconds, like right at the moment when it happens. But then later they'll be absolutely fine. There's no lasting anything. It was just weird. It was weird. Like I was expecting the worst. And when the first like 2 or 3 episodes weren't the worst, I was like, maybe this will be pretty good. And then things devolved.
See,
Toby said it better than I did.
Yeah, I actually, as much as I have questions, I probably like this more than you guys did because I'm easily entertained by bullshit television. But Jessica Biel does something, especially at the beginning of the series, that I really like. Do you remember that scene where she's looking at, pictures of herself in an article and she goes, damn, my built-ins look good, right? There is this very...
talking about the architecture in her home.
Her apartment, right? Yeah. There is this very New York woman thing that she fucking nails, I think, in this documentary. And if you're from New York and you're a woman and you disagree, I'm sorry. My sister used to live on the Upper East Side and like all of her neighbors were exactly like Jessica Biel. Of course, they're on the Upper West Side. They're on Central Park West with their terraced apartments.
Big difference.
There is, oh my God, there is a big cultural difference. Right. Yeah, in my opinion.
They don't like their built-ins.
But the one thing that is never made clear is why is Chloe, this character that Jessica Biel, I think actually physically embodies really well, the way she walks, the way that she always is obsessed with her own hair. Why is she so famous, Kevin? I mean, how many magazine editors are as famous as this woman appears to be?
Well, I mean, there was Hugh Hefner. And there was who's Cosmopolitan,
Yeah, but I wouldn't have recognized her on the street.
I mean, this was weird. Like, how she gets to this position of power is kind of nebulous. She's famous.
Hold on,
First of all,
I'm just going to say one. Anna Wintour is the only person I'd recognize on the street who edited a magazine. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but still, it's more like she apparently in this world is more than just a magazine editor. She is like a powerful figure for societal change because of her magazine. 10 years ago, she was like living on the 4th floor walk up, and somehow she leapfrogged over everybody at this magazine to now be the most popular, richest, most influential media figure in the world. Like, I don't really get it. But, fortunately, the board has their concerns. And so we keep hearing that, the board would like you to step back. Although we never meet anybody from the board. I think it's some bullshit thing that her friend just keeps saying because that's how she feels. Catherine, yes. My good friend Catherine.
The one who didn't eat the gazpacho?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And didn't return the Tupperware?
That's right. Can you believe that shit, Laura?
Yeah, that wasn't even Nikki's Tupperware. That was like Chloe's Tupperware.
Chloe's Tupperware. What the fuck? It was
I know.
probably
I didn't bring
Pampered
that
Chef Tupperware. It was probably upmarket Tupperware.
There was fancy, like Chanel Tupperware or something.
Yeah.
So, Laura, do you find these siblings, these two sisters, to be believable characters when they interact with one another and just believable as family members?
I mean, I think it's kind of a trope that's been done before. But yeah, I thought, okay, as I was trying to get into this is an interesting contrast. You've got one sister who is sort of plagued by the demons of the childhood. And then you have Chloe, who's the sister that is like, I'm going to just exceed everything and excel at everything that I'm doing. And I'm going to be the perfect one. And I'm going to leave my childhood behind. And I thought, okay, this could be an interesting dynamic. We have flashbacks where we see both of those sisters sort of in their formative years, with Nicky having the dad like pouring booze into her teacup and the other sister, holding her hand when the dad is like trying to, I don't know, deliberately or not deliberately crash the car while he's driving when he's drunk. And then you have that scene where you have Nicky come clean about, hey, you know why dad finally stopped drinking is because he tried to put his dick in me. And the other's just like, that's not true. That would never happen. And so I'm like, okay, this could be an interesting sort of character study in people that have come from a traumatic background, like traumatic childhood, and how different people react and how different people evolve into adults. Didn't really go that way for me. I think what would have been more interesting at one point as we were watching this, we were like, have we seen both of them talking to the same person at the same time? Maybe they're the same person.
Oh, you think it's like a Fight Club kind of thing?
Yes. And like Lance was like, that would make this really interesting. Wait. And we were like, yeah, okay. So like the one, they're like schizophrenic, and the personality that's like.
It would make sense of why Ethan keeps calling them both mom.
Yes. And I was like, okay, so like they're the same person. And like the one that is drinking is the personality that comes out and kills. The other one is the one that tamps that personality down and isn't aware of what the other personality does. I'm like, that would have been more interesting. However, in the context of this show where I felt like there was a lot that kind of dragged, I think that those interpersonal relationships really were the most interesting part, because the mystery certainly wasn't that interesting.
Yeah. I actually figured it out a couple episodes before the end. I was extremely proud of myself. As soon as I saw Nicky swimming in that ocean.
Oh.
And I was like, she's baptizing herself, which people only do in literature and films and movies when they feel like they've sinned, right? Or do something bad. And they want to be reborn.
Yes, if you're not one for subtle symbolism, she comes out of the water and says, I've been baptized. So there you go.
It was pretty ham-fisted.
And Toby, she's literally haunted by ghosts.
Yeah. Can you talk about the many ghosts that appear in this series, Toby?
Well, I couldn't quite wrap my head around exactly what was going on, because it's not like it's super original. Like there's all kinds of stuff where it's people are talking to their dead husbands or dead parents or just random dead people. But it's usually just one person who's doing it. And that's sort of a way of having like an internal dialogue, but without just like, she thought this and then she thought that.
These fucking ghosts, it would be nice if I could get an answer. if they're gonna just drop in. I mean, my ex, I don't even know what's there with us. And he was right about me. I was fucking right about him.
But then not only is Chloe doing it, but then Nikki's doing it in the pool, and she's got two of them around. So that was a little weird. But I think the thing that really kind of threw me off into what I was thinking, which is basically like this is just like a sort of metaphorical device or whatever, is that at one point, Adam like imparts some knowledge that Chloe doesn't know to her. He gives this sort of clarifying story about this sort of rumored thing about where Ethan almost drowned because Nicky was so drunk or whatever. So it's like, okay, so this is like an actual, are we supposed to think this is an actual ghost who's now coming back to tell the truth? Like it couldn't be internal dialogue anymore because he was telling her something she didn't already know. So I don't know if it just wasn't well thought out or whether they were supposed to be literal ghosts that were kind of haunting, but there's nothing else supernatural about it and it's not integrated into the show in any way. So it just seemed kind of convenient for whatever they felt like they needed to get across. So if they wanted to like show guilt or regret or something like that, they could have those ghosts show up, or like trauma, they could have the ghosts show up. But also if they wanted to get some information across later, it was like, oh, the ghosts will just tell them. So it just seemed extremely like a really lazy way of getting around some things that you want to have the audience know about the characters or the plot and not have to think about a way in which it could come out more naturally. It's like, oh yeah, we'll put in either the dead husband or the dead father, and that can work it out for us.
I just want to say I like Corey Stoll a great deal. We first saw him in House of Cards, I believe, and he's been in so many things since then. He's one of my favorite sort of, I don't want to call him a character actor, but he kind of is. Yeah. He's sort of like the, what's the guy with the name that's hard to pronounce who's in a million episodes of Law and Order and everything else? He sort of reminds me of that guy.
Oh, the guy with the
you know who I mean.
The Croatian name.
Yes, you know exactly who I mean.
With that, the SAG says that when they do the credits, they have to use all the proper punctuation marks.
Yes.
And
Yeah, he's also in House of Cards, I believe, right?
Yes.
Anyway, Kevin, so one thing I want to ask you is the beginning of the series, Adam's dead, and Catherine calls him a bastard. And, we see that when she leaves the party, but right before she finds his body, like Catherine hates him. We know all these people seem to have these negative feelings about him, yet they all seem to be completely unaware that he's being awful at home. So why do they hate him?
That's a great question. I mean, I think, they're like hinting that, oh, no, he was a bad guy. But nobody except for Ethan seems to realize that what's happening is that Adam is abusive at home, or at least has these,
Abusive episodes,
yeah, where she's left bruised or whatever. So it does make me wonder, like, why has everybody else got an issue with Adam? They don't quite make that clear. Like, why do they have, like, all this resentment? Like, what did he not do for them that he promised? Like, when we promised we'll give you exclusive episodes on Patreon.
Oh, shit.
We do.
We're in the business section. Kevin, that was so smooth. I didn't know that was coming.
We do all sorts of things here at patreon.com/partners in crime media. We'll give you exclusive content. If you join us at the leading off level, you'll get things like the Crime Writers on After Show. And this week on the After Show, we're playing a game.
What game?
We're playing a game of Would You Rather.
What?
Is it like a drinking game?
No, I mean, you can drink if you want. I mean, if you're Nicky.
Hold on. I'll just get my super water.
There you go. Laura's got her big sippy mug there, and I'm sure it's all white wine.
No, it's electrolytes, and it says keep drinking.
Yeah, quote-unquote electrolytes. So we'll play Would You Rather. That ought to be fun. You also get the readathon. You got to be kidding me. Is this the end of the readathon now that there's been a verdict in the Karen Reed case?
Well, there's still people who, right now, there's going to be a civil case, which I will cover on the podcast, but not be as obnoxiously daily about, obviously. And, there's other adjacent cases which I want to talk about, such as the Sandra Birchmore case. But in the meantime, there are some other pretty well-known podcasters to this audience who at some point during the readathon have reached out to me and said, I listened to this readathon because I need someone to talk to about this case. And I got to talk to a couple of them over the weekends. There's a couple of very interesting episodes in the feed with Maggie Freeling and
Janet Varney.
Who,
And maybe more.
And
great.
Maybe there'll be even more.
Okay, so we are still going to continue to squeeze all the juice from that orange. It's called the Readathon. Now that, though it is ramping back, we get the return of Married with Podcast.
Can't wait.
In which we can talk about other things, usually advice that we give to our listeners about parenting and relationships and all sorts of other stuff. Sex. Why do you really say it like that? Because you never talk about sex on the show.
No, we talk about sex sometimes because we give the worst advice about sex. It was my favorite kind of advice to give.
Yeah.
We're so vanilla. We don't fucking know anything.
Hey, you know what our favorite sexual position is?
Back to back.
Yes, all right. So you also get you also can get Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast, and if you come on as a Bricker Scaler, there is Leave It to Bricker, Laura Bricker's exclusive podcast where she talks about mysteries, or at least mysteries to her, in her quaint AF town of Exeter, New Hampshire. But this time she flies far, far away from Exeter. And tell us about your adventure where?
Cocaine Island.
Yeah.
Where I was told to stop asking about cocaine by my son because he was afraid I was being pegged as a narc.
Well, you are.
I am. Yeah, I am.
I think identified is a better.
Yeah, it's very good. If you become a member at the Let's Do What We Do level, you get episodes of Crime Writers on early and ad-free. And if you're a deep diver, you get all of that. But you also get to check out Toby Ball and his guests when they talk about their latest books for Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast. The last book that you guys talked about, Toby, was called American Fire. And I didn't realize so little could be at stake when arsonists just target abandoned buildings.
Yeah, the book wasn't that great, but one of the kind of interesting things is that this arsonist is operating in this super depressed area of Virginia. And because a lot of people have left the area, there's just like all these abandoned houses. So that's what this person ends up mostly burning, are just these abandoned houses. So it's like...
To impress his girlfriend?
Well, I don't want to give away spoilers.
Oh, don't give it away.
I don't think you sell the book in your podcast, right? I don't think you're expecting people to read it because they listen to your podcast, are you?
Okay, I can spoil it. Yeah, this guy wants to, his girlfriend is kind of a firebug, and he decides that he's going to take that responsibility off her hands and do it himself.
Wow.
Because apparently it spices up their relationship. Wow. Anyway, so he burns down a bunch of abandoned places, and then a few ones that are occupied by people he's got a freaking bone to pick with. So
find somebody who loves you as much as that arsonist loves his firebug girlfriend is my advice.
Yeah.
I'll try new things. Get all that at patreon.com/partners in crime media. Other ways you can support us. Follow us on the socials. We're on X and Blue Sky and TikTok and Instagram and our Facebook discussion group. Totally rad. Got to join it. And also you can check out our store on Amazon or Amazon shop at amazon.com/shop/crime writers on. All great ways to help the show and stay in touch.
You know why our Facebook group is so good?
Why?
Because I kick people out the minute they reveal themselves to be an asshole. That's
okay.
Why. I did one today, actually. It was very satisfying.
No assholes, please.
All right, Kevin. Does thus end our business section?
Thus ends the business section.
I'm going to go ahead and fade that music out. Hey, Kevin, who's our next sponsor?
Our next sponsor is HelloFresh.
Hola, Fresco.
Springtime is all about spending time outside with good company and good food. Now, I'll tell you, okay, Rebecca, you just remember, I'm going to relive this trauma from yesterday.
Oh, boy.
So umpiring a baseball game.
You're an umpire.
The home team was up 12-4 going into the 6th inning.
Then what happened?
Well, the other team came back. After 4 pitching changes, a whole bunch of walks, I thought
a murder? Was it a murder?
It was a murder.
What happened? What was the final score?
It was 20-12.
Nice.
And I only bring this up because I thought I was going home to dinner, and then 45 minutes later, I had to leave.
You were starving.
I was starving. So, how do you start making dinner at that point? You really can't.
So easy when you got HelloFresh in your fridge, though.
Absolutely. Some of the great meals that you can make fast. 10 minutes it takes. The cheesy chicken and bell pepper tacos.
Nice.
That was great. But they also have ready-made meals that you can make in 3 minutes, like the sweet sesame udon with chicken and red peppers. You just heat them and eat them.
I love udon.
But that doesn't mean you can't do some nice fancy stuff. Among the gourmet meals that I'm looking forward to making this week, sirloin in a mushroom sauce with caramelized.
Caramelized.
Oh, all right. onion, mashed potatoes, and roasted carrots.
Nice. So feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule, even your spring umpiring schedule, and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/CWO10FM.
10FM?
CWO10FM. Do that now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life.
10FM, okay.
1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
This is Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast, the promo. And in 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you why you should check out the show. I, the host Scott Aukerman, have a lighthearted conversation with famous celebrities like John Hamm, Allison Williams, Phoebe Bridgers, Jason Alexander, Natasha Lyonne, Bob Odenkirk, just to name a few. Things go a little off the rails when different eccentric characters and oddballs drop by to be interviewed as well. Each week is a blend of conversations and character work from your favorite comedians as well as some new hilarious voices. Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast. Listen every Monday wherever you get your podcasts.
So, Kevin.
Yes.
I hear that you wanted this thing we're reviewing to be a little more elevated.
Yeah, just like my Quince wardrobe.
Oh, yeah.
As temperatures rise, it's the perfect time to refresh your wardrobe with not just summer essentials, but versatile pieces for every season ahead. Quince pieces are timeless, lightweight, and far more elevated than anything else at this price. Okay, ladies, I'm going to talk to you man to woman.
All right.
So I know how your man likes to go to that store and buy that T-shirt for 57 cents.
Yes.
And look, there is a place for that.
Is there?
Well, like when you're changing your air filter, or maybe when you're entering a wrestling ring and you want to tear it open.
Or when you've given up.
When you've just given up. Well, that's where Quince comes in, because you can buy great things like their European linen shirts, and the dresses, of course, for the ladies.
All right.
But those shirts, for $30, when you're planning for that 4th of July picnic that you have to go to, and he's going to wear some goofy T-shirt or something like that, get him a nice pair of Quince tops, linen shirts, some really cool shorts, and he's going to feel better, and you're going to be like, hey, this is my man. And he's going to like it later when you say, yeah, this was my man.
That's my man.
Well, give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/crime for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/crime to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crime.
So, Laura, we have a pair of cops here. And one of them is named Nan, and she has a kind of a put-on occasional Southern accent. And I liked her at first. What did you think about Nan?
I liked her at first, and then I was like, shut the fuck up. She was super annoying because her character did not fit with the tone of this show. She should have been in Fargo or something like that. She should not have been in this show. She was funny. She was trying to be witty. She's trying to solve the case. She's going off on her own, going to see Adam's mom out in Ohio, I think it was, and get to the bottom of stuff. She was entertaining, but the problem was the other characters were so flat that her humor didn't land because there was no other humor in this show. So it just felt like this was a mismatched character. Remember that show Once Upon a Time when the storytold characters would go from nedifferent places into a scene and they weren't from there?
Never watched it, but I know it existed.
Yeah.
It was like she had been teleported in from a different show and she didn't actually fit the message or sort of the tone of this series. But in another show, she could have been a great character.
See this glass contained in this section? Undisturbed, not on the floor really. On top of the cushion.
The window was broken from the outside after the room was tossed.
Bang, bang, bang. And why break in using this window, not a side one, out of view from the street?
Easy access, first thing they saw.
Maybe. If you're an amateur, you don't end up stabbing a guy to death.
I like her partner because he demonstrates how different someone can look if they have a mustache and then they don't. He looks like a different freaking person.
He went from being cool to being a nerd in one shaving.
So, Toby, you also had some thoughts about the cop character, Nan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the thing, and you don't find out about it until almost the end, is that she got into a lot of trouble because she beat up a black guy who supposedly looked like another black guy who's actually a suspect. So I guess she's a racist. And, you know, you've been spending this whole time like kind of thinking she's the good cop and stuff, and she's kind of crusty and or whatever. And it's like, well, when you take a look at that through a lens of like, oh, this is just like this racist cop who's like is going to beat the shit out of a black guy because he looks a little bit like another black guy. But
they're best friends now in the nursing home.
Well, it seemed a little edgy. But anyway, I just I was like, you probably should have brought this up earlier and not waited until it was just like kind of convenient so they could get her taken off the case when she was closing in on them. But then B, if you're really going to have like a racist cop be like the protagonist on the law enforcement end, like maybe you want to bring it up in the beginning and see if there's some way to kind of redeem her during the course. Like it was one of those things where I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a contrivance so they can get her off the case. And then it's like, well, wait a second. What they're describing is just racist cop behavior. And so are we now supposed to think she's a villain, or are we supposed to think that's kind of an excusable sin, or what? So it was very strange and quite honestly kind of off-putting in a show that I think they're sort of deeks towards having a social conscience revolved around like a couple of people just saying things that seemed as though they were kind of enlightened. Like, oh, what would happen if Ethan was a black kid? Would he be getting out of prison on bail? You know, if you want to go this route, this social justice route, why don't you just freaking do it? Because what you're doing is you're having this black lawyer say this. And at the same time, I believe the script is having you rooting for Ethan to not go to jail. Like you're rooting for the white privilege to keep him from having to go to jail so that he can hang out with his two moms. So it just, I just felt like the kind of racial stuff was really strangely done.
Yeah, I had sort of the same note about Nan where she has this thing in her background, but we don't hear about. It's not even really, it's like so subtly hinted at in the first episode that she has like some meeting to do, but we don't know what that is. It doesn't come up later. There's no indication that she's got something hanging over her the whole time. If they had teased that out a little earlier, then, you know, maybe we would be like, oh, I wonder what that's about, and would kind of keep us in suspense, and then like we wonder what that reveal is going to be. Or it could work on her where we're like, okay, maybe, you know, she's this crusty cop, and all of a sudden, like, she unexpectedly pulls back from going there for some reason that we don't know, and find out later, like, oh, well, I don't know, I did it at the last, not like beating up somebody, just something that we could later see that, because that had happened to her is why she did that thing in episode 3 or whatever. It just, you're right, it just sort of seems to come out of nowhere. And, yeah, it was rather convenient just to get her temporarily off the case so they could, I guess, plant the evidence on Matthew Modine's character. Who, you know, just very, very, he's very like, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, or he's going to be this evil but effete society type who, you know, wears ascots with short sleeve shirts. And again, this is the guy that all the evil foreign business syndicates want to do their business with because, you know, for whatever reason, it's a weird universe that they built.
Yeah. Did they ever figure out who was sending her the threats from her office?
It was some random woman.
Oh,
right.
I totally missed that. Was it her receptionist?
No, I thought it was her son was doing it from her home computer.
Yeah, the online threats, but you mean like the VHS tapes or the
VHS
DVDs?
Tape. Oh,
yeah, cut her head off. Yeah, it was just like they said it like some woman from Virginia or whatever, you know. So I think didn't they say like she was a January 6th insurrectionist or some weird thing like that. But yeah, it wasn't anybody in this universe. And I almost kind of thought that like the list of characters who, you know, could be potential suspects in the murder, I thought it was a little small.
You think?
Yeah, you know, it's like, well, is it one of these two business people? Is it the lover, or is it one of the sisters?
Or is it the doorman? They sort of set up the doorman.
Right? So except for the doorman, he's the only one that seemed to know that Adam was a prick, right?
We heard it through the air vent.
Because you could hear it through the air vent. From the penthouse?
Yeah.
You can hear the penthouse air vent?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very, very, very quiet lobby.
What else are they? What else can he hear through that air vent is what I want to know.
Oh, baby.
I was kind of thinking, when they said it was in her office, I was thinking it was going to be her assistant who apparently has the world's most impossible job and is kissing her ass all the time. And this is what's weird about this character. And I actually think that...
Is that like hours after her husband is murdered, she has to have an all-staff meeting to explain how difficult this is going to be for everybody?
Yes.
And it's going to get rough, so brace yourselves. Because they are going to attack this cause, this magazine, my family. Whatever good will be tainted by its connection to this. This is the perfect opportunity for them to undermine the difference that we've made.
See, I like Jessica Biel's performance in this because she definitely plays that type of high-profile, famous person who's also very scary to the people who know her directly.
Is she?
Well, she certainly feels very robotic at work, and she certainly doesn't have a lot of the warmth that we see her.
Unless you're afraid of robots, that doesn't really seem scary.
But they also never explain what happened to the warmth that she showed in that flashback. Like, what happened to that person? That person just kind of disappeared, and you're not actually sure why. So, Laura, what do you think about Ethan, the son? I mean, I will admit I had a soft spot for Ethan because he may or may not remind me of one of my sons. But what did you think of this kid and his performance and the character?
You know, I feel, again, like a lot of the characters in the show, like he had potential. He's the son. He's a little awkward. He's had some troubles in school. Obviously, there's some background with his real mom versus his stand-in mom, who's his aunt. And you find out about these secret calls he's been having with his real mom. But for somebody who's supposedly charged with murder, like, he didn't really seem like super upset about that to me. Like, he was just kind of like, okay.
Well, he thought he was protecting Chloe. That's why he was willing to accept it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. But at the same time, I just felt like this character was, again, it was a character that you want to root for. Like, you want to root for the kid who's wrongfully accused, who, oh my gosh, they got him like this high-powered lawyer to stand in and like help him out. And then she's kind of fucking him over because she's like, only reason she came in is because she used to have sex with the same woman that his fake mom is having sex with. And you're like, okay. So again, like the scenes that actually showed some depth to the character were the scenes with his real mom, with the connection with her. And then the rest of it, I was just kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
So it frustrated me because I felt like this could have been a good thriller. This could have been sort of like, okay, this is the type of story like a Gillian Flynn sort of story where it's like domestic suspense, right?
Yeah.
And that character just sort of was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how sad I actually feel for Ethan at this point.
I kind of thought the end of the trial was going to be the end of the series. It was just like a middle climax. And then I was like, for a minute, I had the same thought I see that you had, Toby, where I was like, maybe the twist will be that he actually did do it and they can't try him because he was already tried and acquitted. Did you think Ethan did it for a minute, Toby?
I didn't really give a shit, but there's a part like right after the trial where he's sitting down with his two moms and said, this is exactly the way it should be. It's like the two of you and me just like hanging out. And I was like, all right, so like they're just telling us that he did it, I mean, it seemed like, why would he say that? And I mean, it's just a bizarre thing to say. And it would just seem like it was just dropping this heavy-handed hint, but then it never comes back to that. It was just, the whole thing was weird. And he's going to he wants to go somewhere with Chloe and wants to go somewhere with Nicky and if she leaves and leave Chloe behind. Again, it was just another one of those things where I'm like, have you actually ever met a teenager? Like, if a teenager was accused of killing his father when he didn't kill his father, he wouldn't be like, I'm kind of sad. But, I'm not going to do everything I can to get out of this. I'm not going to say that my dad was a scary dude.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. Kevin, what did you think about Ethan?
I did like Maxwell Acey, who played Ethan. He did seem like a big sweetie. And he just, so like when he comes across as caring, like, I sort of believe the character, but maybe I wonder a little bit like why he was more faithful to Chloe than either of his actual parents. Like I didn't quite get that part of the character. Like why is he all in on mom/aunt/stepmom as opposed
it's
to
her hair, Kevin. She's got the excellent hair.
Yeah, I mean it's just because dad is mad that you brought his gun to school. It just was, like we said, it just was a little incoherent. The plot here is like really kind of dense. And so like where this character fits in, I'm not quite certain, but I mean, I don't know. He's like supposed to be the focal point, or at least the fulcrum here on which this drama pivots, that it's like, this is the child. Whose is he? I mean, who does he really belong to? The better sister? Who is the better sister? I mean, you could ask that question here. So
I think you're supposed to feel like at the end of this who the better sister is.
Who?
The
It's
one,
Nicky.
The one who's the killer? The one
who was
isn't?
taken advantage of. Set up.
Yeah.
Dumped in the pool with a cup full of Xanax.
Because she's still doing the right thing. She's taking care of Adam's mother. Like she's except for the murder part, seems to be better in every way.
Was anybody sad that guy died? No. It was justified. Whatever, Adam. Nice knowing you.
Yeah. What was the deal with that guy Jake being dead at the end? You think that was just a setup for season 2, or we were supposed to know?
I think it's a setup for season 2.
Oh, the AA guy?
No, the guy who doesn't have any shirts. The guy who walks around in his wetsuit with the top pulled off all the time.
The guy who was laying on the beach. Okay.
Yeah. Dead on the beach. Because they're like, okay, hey, just remember, we were at this beach campfire all day looking at the Big Dipper. Yeah, okay, so they're like setting up an alibi for something, and then we see that Jake's dead. So in season 2, it's obviously Chloe who kills Jake, because Nicky killing another of her sister's lovers would just be too predictable.
Yeah, you got to use that. You got to use those new biceps for something.
Yeah.
She was jacked.
He was jacked.
No, she
certainly.
was.
Oh, Jessica Beil
She's
is
toned. She's
so
like,
jacked.
Yeah.
She's all muscle all the time.
Yeah. Can we talk about the thing that really kind of stuck with me, if anything stuck with me, is the idea that Nicky was willing to let Ethan go to jail and get the shit kicked out of him at jail, and never for 1 second seemed to think about, well, maybe I should just turn myself in and start paying through all this.
That's an excellent point. That's a plot hole.
Yeah.
Like when it was over, I'm like, wait, you were like crying because he was getting beat up. He was like, oh, don't worry about it. And like, why isn't he pissed? You know, when it all comes out, it's like, why the fuck did you make me go to jail? Like, that sucked.
Yeah.
It's just because you didn't feel like speaking up about it.
Yeah. Well, she had to go buy a new rug to replace them with blood on it.
That's true. There was rugs. Yeah.
I actually like that.
And they're actually, she had to go to that sweet hangout thing at that little wake thing where she fired up the caterer guy in the back of his van.
Fired him up, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's usually what happens when people die, is that somebody else throws them awake.
Yep.
Right? Everybody come to my friend's house to give me all the love, and they're like, oh,
actually,
whatever.
that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in lieu of a funeral or anything that you're doing?
Well, no, it happens all the time that other people like throw things like a reception or a wake or a funeral reception for people. It's just not the Irish way, where everybody like loves to be together at their own houses to celebrate it.
Guys, just so you know, when Rebecca dies, we're having the funeral at Laura's place.
Okay, so that'll be sweet.
And all of Laura's friends can come.
Well, all my son's friends can come, and they're very entertaining. They drive cars like the Fast and the Furious. It'll be a great adventure.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll bring gazpacho.
This is Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast, the promo. And in 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you why you should check out the show. I, the host Scott Aukerman, have a lighthearted conversation with famous celebrities like John Hamm, Allison Williams, Phoebe Bridgers, Jason Alexander, Natasha Lyonne, Bob Odenkirk, just to name a few. Things go a little off the rails when different eccentric characters and oddballs drop by to be interviewed as well. Each week is a blend of conversations and character work from your favorite comedians, as well as some new hilarious voices. Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast. Listen every Monday wherever you get your podcasts.
Planning a trip this year? Travel smarter and connect deeper by learning the local language with Rosetta Stone. With over 30 years of experience, Rosetta Stone's immersive, intuitive method helps you live the language, not just memorize it. Choose from over 25 languages, including Spanish, French, Japanese, and more. Their true accent speech recognition technology gives real-time feedback to help perfect your pronunciation. No translations, just natural learning that builds from words to phrases to full conversations. Whether you have 5 minutes or an hour, you can learn anytime on desktop or mobile. Get a lifetime membership and unlock all 25 languages. Learn as much as you want, whenever you want. Rosetta Stone. Learn confidently. Connect authentically. Don't wait. Unlock your language learning potential now. Listeners can grab Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. That's unlimited access to 25 language courses for life. Visit rosettastone.com/pod50 to get started and claim your 50% off today. Don't miss out. Go to rosettastone.com/pod50 and start learning today.
We all belong outside. We're drawn to nature, whether it's the recorded sounds of the ocean we doze off to, or the succulents that adorn our homes. Nature makes all of our lives, well, better. Despite all this, we often go about our busy lives removed from it. But the outdoors is closer than we realize. With All Trails, you can discover trails nearby and explore confidently. With offline maps and on-trail navigation, download the free app today.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers comprehensive auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus, benefits like 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim through the repair process to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Visit endurancewarranty.com for your fast free quote today. That's endurancewarranty.com.
All right, let's do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out The Better Sister on Prime? Laura, thumbs up or thumbs down for The Better Sister?
So I'm going to go, I'm debating between like thumbs sideways and thumbs down on this, but I'm going to go thumbs sideways. The thing is, I think this is a book that was probably a book that a lot of people liked. It was probably like a Reese's book club pick or something like that.
Or Jenna, reading with Jenna.
Yeah, it was like one of those book club picks where you're like domestic suspense. This is a story everybody likes. It should have probably been like a 90-minute movie, but they made it into an 8-episode series. And I think in doing that, they adhered very much to the actual book, which didn't allow for this to feel like it had any actual suspense to me or any actual 3-dimension to the characters that were in the show. So I was frustrated by this because I felt like, God, there's like great actors in this. This is like, okay, yeah, like it doesn't have to be perfect. I watch all of these type of shows on Netflix where I'm like, ooh, domestic suspense. I will watch that. But because it was so drawn out, it just felt tedious as it was going on. And I was like, oh my God, like, and I felt like we also had a person that was killed that we weren't super invested in because nobody was super upset that he was dead. So for me, I was frustrated. It felt drawn out, but I was also like, you know what? We've got a great cast here. There's some stuff to follow along with. I just wish that maybe this had been shorter and there had been some efforts to sort of rewrite the book in a way that translated better to a film format. So that's why I'm a thumb sideways.
Toby Ball, thumbs up or thumbs down for The Better Sister on Prime?
Yeah, so I don't know anything about the book, but this show is really bad. And I think a lot of it's the writing. Like nobody in this acts like a real person would act at hardly any time in the whole thing. There's a number of sort of things that are kind of thrown in as sort of plot contrivances that are just so clearly like just stuck there so that other stuff can happen and make a little bit of sense, but it doesn't make any sense in any other ways. In the little bit that it tries to deal with like real world issues, it comes off as being like sort of racially problematic in a lot of ways. Like, I don't know why the people who are in this, like there's some like A-list or A- list actors in this. Like, I don't know how they read that script and were like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be a great show. I mean, it's a mess. So anyway, I'm a thumbs down. I also realize this is not the kind of thing that's made for me. So even if it was really good, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much as some other people would. But it just felt lazy to me. It felt like lazy writing. It felt like there wasn't enough thought put into how to get from point A to point B at different times so that you just come up with some ridiculous solution that didn't seem like it had anything to do with anything else or involved like talking dead people. So anyway, thumbs down.
Kevin Flynn.
Yeah, I'm going to go thumbs sideways. I'm very much like Laura. I could go thumbs down. I didn't like this better than Department Q, which I thought was kind of mid, but this also doesn't really do anything for me. I mean, you got two great actresses that, like, there should be something more here with Jessica Beil and Elizabeth Banks. I don't really feel like they've challenged themselves in these roles here. Didn't really do anything exciting with these characters. It's probably a result of the script, but it was a dense mystery with a suspect pool that was pretty small, and a lot of it ended up being incoherent. It was a good setup. Sort of the premise is really interesting, but the way that the characters interact just wasn't believable, and it really dragged in the second half. So I found that to be fairly disappointing. I feel like there could have been something more here. I don't know if it's the fault of the book. I don't know if it's the adaptation, but they really could have done something more with these two really good actresses. Not certain they like really clicked together in all the scenes. So it just really was kind of flat-footed in a lot of different ways. So the best I can say is that it's a thumb sideways.
Now, Toby, I want to remind you that there have been things that were not made for you that you super liked. So I think you are capable of liking lady television. For instance, you really loved Big Little Lies, which was definitely not made for you, but super good. This is like a discount Big Little Lies, this show. I mean,
it's like drive-through sushi.
I'm thumb sideways. I liked it more than you did, and you did, Laura. I was entertained by it, and I also was obsessed with some of the set design and locales of it. I thought it was really beautifully done. I liked that, this is really superficial, but I don't care. I liked that her rich person apartment actually looked like a real rich person apartment and not like $100 million rich person apartment, which is what they usually portray rich people to live in New York, which like nobody actually lives in.
It was set in this like world of wealth, but didn't seem to be part of a world of wealth or have anything to say about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt your...
that's okay. It's okay.
That was something that occurred to me.
It's totally fine. But I enjoyed the art direction, set design. I really liked Jessica Biel's clothes. So I liked looking at it. Okay. This is a thing where I enjoyed looking at it. They did great job with continuity and clothing. Like, I know this is really stupid stuff, but I pay attention to this kind of stuff. A couple times you see Nicky wearing something that you had seen Chloe wearing earlier in the show. So the idea of her raiding her closet really kind of like lands. So the details like that I enjoyed. I found myself mildly entertained. Not the entire time, but sometimes. And I like a lot of the actors. I really like Jessica Biel. I really like Corey Stoll. I really like Elizabeth Banks. I'll never forget her turn in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. And yeah, so I'm a thumb sideways, but slightly more enthusiastic than Laura and Kevin. Now it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, a little something I like to call the Crime of the Week. This week, we heard about a ritual offered to those hikers who reach the halfway point on the Appalachian Trail. A local store challenges them to eat a half-gallon of ice cream before resuming their trek. If it's mint chocolate chip, no fucking problem. Since the 1980s, the Pine Grove Furnace General Store in Gardners, Pennsylvania, has run the half-gallon ice cream challenge. A staff member will time a hiker as they down 2,500 calories of chocolate chip cookie dough or their other favorite flavor, mint chocolate chip. Some hikers say it's not much of a reward for walking 1,000 miles. A traveler with the trail name Pie Top finished his ice cream and said the experience was, quote, pure misery. Chicken Louise said she questioned her life choices, and Hyena said, I want to die. It takes about 40 minutes to finish the container. The record is 4 minutes, completed by a hiker named Squirt, who probably got that nickname 30 minutes after wolfing 16 scoops of chocolate fudge. Those who complete the challenge get their photo posted on the wall and probably stumble off to vomit somewhere between Georgia and Maine. So, panel, what's another unwise tradition for those who just hiked 1,000 miles? Laura Bricker.
So I'm thinking back to my camping hiking days, and one of the things that I thought was a very unwise decision was somebody brought a DIY chili dog setup where they were cooking their hot dogs in the fire and bought like Hormel chili in a can to put on. And I just feel like that would not be good as you're re-entering the world after your hike on the Appalachian Trail.
Big meal at Chili Dogs. What about you, Toby Ball? What is another unwise tradition for people who've just hiked 1,000 miles?
The ritual piece of broken glass in your boot.
What do you think, Kevin?
Big bowl of the gazpacho and then jumping jacks.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Laura Bricker, if folks want to reach out to you on social media, how can they find you there?
You can find me at Laura Bricker on Instagram and Blue Sky, and send me your Cat of the Week nominations there.
What about you, Toby Ball? Where can people find you?
At Tui Ball NH on Blue Sky. There's actually now I think we probably have 5 Ancient Phalians episodes out. If people want to check it out and leave a review or a rating, that would be awesome.
Kevin Flynn, how can people find you?
I'm everywhere at Kevin P. Flynn.
I'm everywhere at Reb Lavoie. If you want to follow the show everywhere, it's at Crime Writers On. Please follow us on TikTok. Please follow us on Instagram. Engage with our content. Share it with your friends. Like it. Repost it. All those things you can do. It really helps the algorithm understand that Kevin's hard work was worth it.
Oh, thank you, algorithm.
I also encourage you to join our amazing Facebook discussion group. Just find us on Facebook and hit join the group. And if you're not an asshole, you won't get blocked. Get episodes early and ad-free at patreon.com/partnersincrime-media. You'll also get the Crime Writers On After Show, Married with Podcast, Laura Bricker's Leave It to Bricker podcast, and Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcasts. Our theme song was composed and performed by Tyler Gibbons, and our editor is the wonderful Livy Burdett. The EP of this show is Kevin Flynn. This show was recorded in Studio C, the closet in our New Hampshire basement, where we also bring giant batches of gazpacho to society death parties. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later. Yeah, so I'm a thumb sideways, but slightly more enthusiastic than Laura and Kevin.
How are you going to put that into a little thing, Kevin, on your a little thumb that's slightly above 90 degrees?
A big shrugging shoulders, I guess. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Partners in Crime Media.
This is Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast, the promo. And in 30 seconds, I'm going to tell you why you should check out the show. I, the host Scott Aukerman, have a lighthearted conversation with famous celebrities like John Hamm, Allison Williams, Phoebe Bridgers, Jason Alexander, Natasha Lyonne, Bob Odenkirk, just to name a few. Things go a little off the rails when different eccentric characters and oddballs drop by to be interviewed as well. Each week is a blend of conversations and character work from your favorite comedians, as well as some new hilarious voices. Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast. Listen every Monday wherever you get your podcasts.
I've never felt like this before. It's like you just get me. I feel like my true self with you. Does that sound crazy? And it doesn't hurt that you're gorgeous. Okay, that's it. I'm taking you home with me. I mean, you can't find shoes this good just anywhere. Find a shoe for every you from brands you love, like Birkenstock, Nike, Adidas, and more at your DSW store or DSW.com.
Some say Odoo Business Management software is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. Some say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk, scaling with you while being magically affordable. And some say Odoo's programs for manufacturing, accounting, and more are like building blocks for creating a custom software suite. But I say Odoo is all of it. Fertilizer magic beanstalk building blocks for business. Yeah, Odoo. Exactly what every business needs. Sign up at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.